course, joining me now on the Southern Scene is Jeffery Williamson, our good friend who provides us so many wonderful information and so many wonderful details about things to help us make sure that we're taken care of and protected. Hi, Jeffery. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
So, Jeffery, let's talk about something today called asset protection planning. So for some of our viewers who may not be familiar with asset protection planning, let's talk about what exactly we mean by that.
Right.
I mean, I think I know what it means in terms of if I'm starting a business, there are certain things that I need to think about and certain things that I need to make sure that's protected. Would that be what we're talking about?
Right. We're talking about setting up our estate plan and our business entities and plans and succession plans so that we protect our assets from outside creditors. You know, we talked earlier in one of the segments about the new focus of estate planning, and I told you it had kind of switched away from planning for estate taxes to long-term care planning or planning against devastating long-term care costs. That's a form of asset protection planning because we're organizing our assets so that if we have this devastating event, we won't be wiped out.
As an individual.
As an individual. And what I'm talking about here is part of that, but also forming our corporations or our LLCs, setting up our business entity or entities in such a way that we have maximum protection. And this is not to say that you don't need to purchase insurance or once you do this you can drive west in the eastbound lane on I-16. But it is important for people to know that just simply forming a corporation online does not give them the protection that they really may have in their own mind think that they have.
Hey, let me ask you this. Now, you are obviously an expert. You're a tax attorney and an expert when it comes to that. How can we make sure that we are getting the most benefits where taxes are concerned if we have a business, and we're also protected if something unforeseen happens?
This is important. I see a lot of small businesses don't think they can afford to go see an attorney when they set up their business. They go onto LegalZoom or they just go online and do it themselves. I had a couple in my office that had a small painting business. They formed their own, or they were just a Schedule C, they just had started their own business. And they were paying way more in payroll taxes than they otherwise, I'm talking about $20,000, $30,000 more than they otherwise would have been had they come to me and we properly structured their entity in the beginning. So the only way to really know is to talk, if you have a CPA, to talk to your CPA to be sure you're doing everything correctly, or to see an estate planning or tax expert, an attorney, to be sure everything's in place. And I think that's money well spent on the front end, because it could wind up costing you unnecessarily tens of thousands of dollars of unnecessary taxes on the back end.
When do you know if you say that you've realized that you have this this little skill that can turn into a business, and you want to form some type of business? When do you know whether or not you should form a corporation or an LLC? Because a lot of people we know operate businesses without all of that.
Sure.
And where you're, just basically, being paid in cash or something like that. But you can get in a lot of trouble for that.
Absolutely. You see, you're taking in those gross receipts. Are you taking the deductions that you should be? I mean, the burden is on the taxpayer to prove their deductions. So if you can't prove it, the IRS might disallow it if you were audited. It's hard to give a cutoff, but if you are, what I would say is that if you're doing something as more than just a hobby, and you're taking money for that something, whatever it is, and you plan to continue to do that for months or years, you would be well advised to see someone about setting up a proper entity so that that's something that you're doing on the side doesn't generate unnecessary liability and hinder your wealth, your main source of income, whatever that might be. A lot of people don't, when they start their businesses, also understand the importance of payroll taxes. Payroll taxes are FICA, Medicare and Medicaid, that's taken out of your check. If you're working, you see it on a W-2. When you become an employer, it's your job to take it out of your employee's check and to make that matching contribution. If you don't properly do that, the IRS can come after you personally and any person in your business that was responsible for that, whether or not they had any ownership.
So regarding someone who is sitting there watching right now, why is it so important, would you say, I mean, to really consult with a professional? Because
that's the only way you're going to have the assurance of getting the kind of protection that you want. If you go to someone who, or if you go online and you download an agreement, you may have a false sense of security. And many of these documents provide that. They don't give the proper protections that they should. By going to an expert, you know, hey, I've had someone who knows what they're doing review this, and I am properly protected. Okay, well, thank you so much, Jeffrey. It's been wonderful talking with you again. A great segment with great information. I know a lot of viewers will definitely take to heart so many things that you've been talking about. Good to be with you.